So some of you know on my bios, I list myself as a farmer, in addition to a business owner, husband, pop culture fan, comic enthusiast, writer, YouTuber, and at least to myself, a comedian. Now, I don't farm for meat. I'd call it more of a petting zoo of sorts. Just to run down, I have 30 different varieties of chickens, 4 ducks, 3 Muscovy ducks, 4 peacocks, 2 pygmy goats, a regular goat, 2 cats, and a pug. So those are my farming credentials. On May 16th, my wife let in one of our cats from outside at about 3 a.m. The cat likes chasing and terrorizing mice until the early hours of the morning. When I woke up at 7 a.m., I noticed that she wasn't really acting right. She was lethargic and she was kind of moving slow. I picked her up. She didn't make any noises. I was kind of concerned, so I talked to the wife and we made an emergency vet appointment. Found out that she'd been attacked by something. After seeing her complete wounds, I was at a loss to know what could possibly have attacked her. She had a white blood cell count of 400 instead of the normal 2,000. Apparently, we got her to the vet just in time, and after some recuperation and healing and $2,200 later, we're happy to say that she's okay and is going to be okay. She snapped back to her normal serial killer self. I'm sharing this because the mystery behind the attacker starts here. When you have a farm, you have to expect that death is something that you're going to have to face and you're going to have to learn how to deal with it. My area is home to a lot of creatures that love the taste of poultry. In the last 2 years, I've live trapped a possum, caught and released a great horned owl, and this last year I caught 8 skunks, all which I did release. It's not going to tell you where so I don't get in trouble. After the cat incident, we started to miss some chickens and then some ducks. I had no clue left behind that would indicate what the predator was. I make regular checks on the fence lines, and in frustration I said, what the hell's going on here? The traps were empty, no signs of feather debris or a ruckus. Yes, I know I did say ruckus. So I decided to put up some night eyes. These are little solar powered lights that blink through the night and scare away predators. Then I lost another chicken. Okay, what the hell's happening? Okay, it's time to break out some cameras. Wife and I've talked about it a few times, so I decided to use the Arlo 2s. I use Arlo at work and they do a really good job, and I'm familiar with the app and how to set them up. That was June 22nd. It started locking the chickens up nightly to ensure their safety, but I left the goats out thinking they were safe. I mean, after all I'd ever seen is, little ground pounders, skunks, possums, nothing that would bother a goat. I went up to close everyone up on June 21st and I must have walked right by Mocha, one of my Muscovy ducks. The next morning I checked the cameras and was surprised when I witnessed this. The pygmy goats booking away from something that had scared them, and then this. Holy shit, that's a bobcat. That's a bobcat walking away with Mocha in its mouth. He was strutting like he received an award or trophy or something. Anger welled up inside me. That bastard needs to go. The live traps that I had been using were too small. I needed a bigger one, so I went to the feed store before they closed and got a bigger trap. It cost me about $100. Even in my angered state, I didn't really want to kill anything if I didn't have to. I like animals and I know he's just looking for food. My farm's not a McDonald's drive-thru for forest predators. The traps didn't work. Technology didn't work. My only option was to grab a gun and go hunting. I called my father-in-law Rob because I wanted to consult someone who had extensive backwoods knowledge. He stood between a grizzly bear mother and his cubs and carries a .45 on the side when he hikes in the Montana wilderness. I told him I was going to go up and sleep in my hammock. In the time that it takes to drive from his place to mine, about 4 hours, he showed up blasting the song Thunder Road out the window of his car. He pulls up singing while I was bundled in my hammock, clutching my gun, half asleep while I waited for this poultry poacher. Being the known hunter he is, he most likely wanted to awaken me, so I did shoot the wrong mammal. The first night we slept up there in hammocks and guns ready. Apparently I fell asleep and missed some noise. Rob shook the hammock to awaken me and to cease my snoring because my bear noises were at risk of scaring away our target. After about an hour, I decided to leave, and I thought it wouldn't return anyway that night. Rob decided to stay. The next morning, over coffee, he reported that he heard something walking on the carport roof. Now, this is Oregon. It rains 6 months out of the year, and snow is something that we get here regularly, so I have a nice little dry area for the pets to enjoy during the poor weather season. After a couple more nights of no luck, Rob decided to go home to Spokane. I reset the traps trying to bait it, no luck. Next night, I sweetened the bait, again, no luck. On the night of June 27th, I got this on the camera. It felt like this bobcat was taunting me. The voice of Cartman from South Park rang through my head.
Bad kitty.
My regular-sized goat stared it down watching it. I was still at a loss to know how he was getting in. Not only that he walked right past the night eyes, it became clear to me real fast that the night eyes obviously didn't work. The next night, he returns again. My wife alerts me that the cameras have picked something up. As I bring up the camera on my mobile phone app, my eyes focus just as I see him. My business brain begins to process the problem. I thought, if I put on my clothes and head up to the coop, I'm sure it'll hear me and then leave. Then I remember that the cameras have a microphone feature so I can talk through them. So I pushed the mic icon and decided to say the first thing that comes to mind. I know it's hard to hear, but that was me saying, "Get the fuck out." Later I'd kick myself. I'm a writer and that's what I came up with. At least I see where he's coming from and where he's going. So the next day, like the Predator movie, I start refortifying. I can hear the score by Alan Silvestri in my head. I then make another round of security sweeps and move the traps. The next few nights, there's nothing. Who knew telling a bobcat to fuck off would actually work? It was at this time I invited the Fish and Wildlife game people out. They looked at my setup and told me that black bears, cougar, and bobcat attacks are on the rise in this area. They give me some recommendations and they tell me that the goats aren't safe either and they should also be locked up. Predator theme returns to my head again. I spend the weekend with the drum beats of the theme music rolling through my head as I create a Fort Knox for my pets. Then Independence Day happens, July 4th, and I check the cams and see this. The goats are alerted to a noise at 2:26 a.m. Then I see that bastard crawling through the fencing in the chicken yard. I go to the next video and I see him sitting there taking his time. Then he takes a standing jump to a 5-foot tall post and stands on top, and I'm thinking, holy shit, this bobcat is ripped. I watch him make a second jump to the same post later on. Then I watch him make a jump up to a 7-foot tall post that I used to clip the hammocks in. Unbelievable. My wife and I take a good look at the video and come to the same conclusion. The earlier vids, what we thought was a female. Smaller, different striping. This one appears to be male and a different cat altogether. And much larger. Great, there's two of these. I start thinking to myself that I'm Val Kilmer in the movie The Ghost in the Darkness. The next night, July 5th, holy crap, Batman. At 2:12 a.m., the goats are alerted to something. They are now locked up under the carport. So on this video, you can see the goats in the carport below. The bobcat has climbed up on a dead tree snag that I happen to have my camera mounted to. At the beginning of this video, you can see the muzzle just before he jumps on top of the carport. Oh my God, look how big he is. He then jumps down to the ground. He paces around the yard again doing who knows what, probably plotting his next move, and then back on the roof again, like he owns the place or something. Now I took a few measurements, and he is about the size of a medium dog, about 3 feet in length and about 1.5 feet tall, but he's crouched, so I really guess he's about 2 feet tall. and that's from the paw to his back, not his head. This bobcat is looking for a weakness in my predator fortifications. He finally leaves saying screw this, and the last video was at about 2:49 where he starts walking away. Both my wife and I woke up and I decided to fire our gun into the hillside to scare it away. To the date of this video, he has not returned yet. I thought it would be fun to write up a little story because how often do you get this much footage and run into a bobcat? If you like this adventure, comedy, real life nature story, let me know. If I get view counts, I'll keep you updated, or I can also tell the skunk and or owl stories where I have pictures and video too. Anyway, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you all later.